fantastic crowd that we have out here this afternoon. I want to thank you for being here to celebrate this incredible investment in our community. I want to thank Ms. Brungart for her remarks, but also Ms. Brungart and the entire team out here at Clovis Regional Airport, City Administration, everyone at the city that has made this event possible, and especially for moving it indoors. Jokes aside, Ms. Brungart, thank you for
my camera's picking it up.
Leadership in this project over the last several years. Guys, we have an incredible airport director, and she's doing an amazing job. Thank you. Well done on this. Ladies, gentlemen, dignitaries, friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens, we haven't met. I'm Mayor Mike Morris, and I am thrilled to be here with you. It's a great occasion for us to come together and celebrate this incredible investment in our community, and I'm humbled and honored to be involved. And I know you all are too, from whatever vantage point we're involved. This is an exciting time. This is very exciting chapter
it's on the other side. I gotta go and grab it down.
Cannon Air Force Base community, and this project is certainly an example of that. In this season in Clovis, we, with the support of our many partners, Team Clovis is getting after a lot of things and making progress on all fronts. And I believe we're moving ever closer to reaching our full potential as a community. I came across a quote in the last couple of days, and I want to share it with you. It's a quote by a gentleman named Stuart B. Johnson, and it says this: "Our business in life is not to get ahead of others. It is to get ahead of ourselves, to break our own records, to exceed our yesterday by our today." I see Clovis that way in this season. In Clovis, we're focused on breaking our own records and outdoing our yesterdays to reach our potential. And we're not just sitting on our hands and waiting and hoping for something good to happen. We're taking action and moving ever closer toward that grand vision that we share for how great Clovis can be, a vibrant and growing hub city on the High Plains. And breaking ground on the new Clovis Regional Airport Terminal building today is evidence of that progress, and it is evidence that we are exceeding our yesterdays. Today's celebration of progress is an important one, but in celebrating the progress, more importantly, we're celebrating the partnerships that make that progress possible. If I may, I'd like to introduce the team at Clovis, the Clovis City Commission. I believe almost all of them are here. Representing District 1, City of Clovis, District 1, we have Commissioner Juan Garza. We have Commissioner George. The District 2 Clovis City Commissioners are Jean Porter and Gail Carson. District 3 City Commissioners are Helen Casaus and Debbie Zamora. And last but certainly not least, our District 4 Commissioners are Commissioner Megan Paula and our Mayor Pro Tem, Chris Bryant. A few years ago, when it was clear that we had outgrown our current terminal building, the Clovis City Commission took action at the recommendation of our very competent and professional city manager. We have an excellent city manager here in Clovis, Mr. Justin Howald. Justin was presenting to us various options to expand, to add on to the current terminal building. Can you imagine? But it was in late 2021 that the IIJA was passed, and we read that there was airport funding in that bill, right? So we shifted courses, and instead of figuring out how to add on to the building that was built in 1950-something, we decided to pursue the airport terminal grant program and began looking for partners. And we found them everywhere. At the federal level, certainly, our federal delegation and a couple of them are here with us this afternoon. Senator Martin Heinrich is here. As he offers remarks, Senator Henry Lumon, and he's always a partner and a champion for us. And with us from our federal delegation this afternoon is Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez. In just a moment, and she'll forgive me for stumbling on her name. Also at the federal level, the FAA Washington headquarters, very supportive. Mr. Hulwalter and I visited there back, I don't know, earlier this year. Maybe that was year before. It was year before. We had steadfast partners in the regional FAA office down in Fort Worth, and on hand today is Mr. Mike Graham, representing the FAA. As I say, partners everywhere we looked, at the federal level, also at the state level. Certainly Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham has been supportive of this project. Senator Pat Woods, the rest of our state delegation, our House of Representatives, Representative Zamora, Representative Reed, and Chatfield. I did not see any of them here this afternoon, but we are so grateful to our state delegation and their support. New Mexico Department of Transportation Commission, namely our commissioner for our area, Commissioner Tonjes, is here this afternoon. We want to say thank you to the Secretary of DOT, Rick Serna, the rest of the DOT Commission, New Mexico Department of Aviation, New Mexico Department of Transportation Aviation Division staff, namely the dynamic duo, Jane Lucero and Dan Moran, who are here. I want to recognize our Civil Aviation Board. The president of our Civil Aviation Board, Mr. Lonnie Leslie, is here. We're going to hear from him in a few moments. Other board members, appreciate our Civil Aviation Board. The rest of the Civil Aviation Board, Mr. Tejas, Mr. Rodale, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Brick, and Mr. Brick. I want to thank the rest of the, well, I want to mention Denver Air Connection. Who doesn't love Denver Air Connection? They have a contingent here this afternoon, and you'll be hearing from Mr. John Coleman here in a few minutes as he makes remarks as well. I want to thank the County Commission for coming out and support. Vice Chairman and Commissioner Leatherwood are here. I saw the County Manager here. I see representatives from Clovis Community College, Clovis Economic Development, the Chamber of Commerce, Clovis Main. This community is represented, all of our partners and friends and neighbors. Thank you for your support of the activity and the projects in the City of Clovis, and certainly for coming out today to celebrate this incredible investment in our community. One of the partners that the Commission sought a few years ago, when the Commission made a courageous and bold move and invested some local money in a design, which made our application stronger. It made it tangible when we made our pitch and made our pitch. So the Commission is very courageous in approving the project or the design work of the project. And Moles and Portland was the partner that we found when we needed one. And I believe we have Mr. Pate here. Yep, Mr. Pate. Thank you for your partnership, and we look forward to a nice project overview from you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I can't tell you how big a deal this is to us at Moles and Portland, and we're so proud to be partners with City of Clovis and everybody that made this project possible. It's already mentioned the players, but I can't say enough about the cooperation we've had, the input we have from the City of Clovis staff, all of the local government, state government, the federal government, including the TSA and FAA. So just wanted to say we really appreciate that. We appreciate the confidence that Clovis has shown us to allow us to design what is now your new gateway to the world. A couple of facts. I'd ask you to give you a couple of facts about the building. So there is a primary hall, which is about 4,300 square feet. That's where you go greet incoming passengers, go to the ticket counter, rent a car, get your baggage, all those types of things that you see at a big city airport. That is all existing there. Also, a future restaurant that's being built now. It's about 2,000 square feet, and it's incorporated in the building. We also have offices for TSA and TSA checkpoints. There's the hold room, which contains the gates, 2 gates, which is expandable for the future. There's also room for the staff of the airport to move into that building as well. So all in all, it's about a 39,000 square foot building, and we're proud of the way it looks. Additionally, along with this, and what went into this project is also a new loop road, a one-way loop road around, so that you've got a front door drop-off, which you can see from the renderings, as well as apron expansion for 2 jet loads at a time outside the airport. The hold room will hold 150 people or so, which is enough for 2 regional jets. So once again, I just want to thank the City of Clovis for your confidence in us. Thank you.
I failed to mention before, and when you start listing folks, you run that risk, right? But I wanted to mention that our partners from Canada Air Force Base and the leadership from the 27th South are here with us this afternoon, Colonel Middlemark, and I see Major Pinkowski. Thank you for being here. We'll want Mr. Coleman when here in a few minutes to talk about how excited he is. Denver Air Connection is showing up in the defense travel system, and we want to make sure that all the bugs are worked out on that and that that's working perfectly for our Canon folks. Next, we're gonna call on Senator Martin Heinrich if he would like to share some remarks. I want to just let you know, folks, that whether it be our water scarcity issues and our efforts to flip that to water security, or whether it be support of Cannon Air Force Base and the mission there, or whether it be this project, or you name it, Senator Martin Heinrich gives us his ear. He knows and understands the needs and the challenges in Clovis in eastern New Mexico, and he's a champion for us up at the federal level. And so we're grateful for his support on this project, and we're grateful that he's carved out time to be here today to share some remarks with us. Senator Martin Heinrich.
I want to say what a pleasure it's been to work with you, Mayor, on so many important projects for eastern New Mexico and all of the partners in this room here. You know, the mayor used the word investment several times. And when I was on the city council, and want to recognize all the councilors and commissioners in the room, because I know how many hours a week you lose at the grocery store to many focus groups. But one of the things I learned when I was a city councilor was how the bond rating agencies really view the investments that you make in infrastructure and how important that is. And it is investment. It's how you build the economy of the future. And when you don't invest in infrastructure, especially if you defer maintenance on infrastructure, they just look at that as debt on your balance sheet. And I think as a nation, my grandparents' generation made this amazing investment in infrastructure in our country during the New Deal that you can see in every big city and every small town and county seat across the state of New Mexico. And then we kind of like rode on our coattails for way too long, for a long time. And I'm so proud that I was able to be part of a group that was able to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law, which is one of the big funding pieces for this amazing new airport. Because that law is allowing us to reinvest in small towns and big cities across this country. When you look at where the funding is going, it's going right into airports, roads, transportation, broadband, and projects like the Eastern New Mexico Water Project. And that is going to allow all of the amazing entrepreneurs and small businesses in communities like this to be able to build on that foundation. So there's about $20 million invested from the federal government in this new facility. There will be more on the way. I'm very optimistic about hopefully landing this next appropriation cycle, which will mean some additional funding for this facility. And I can tell you that your delegation, Ben Ray Lujan, Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez, have just been dogged in their support of Eastern New Mexico, of projects like this. And now that we can actually see what it looks like, this is going to be something that connects this community to the world and creates economic opportunities that will be with this community for decades and decades to come. And so I'm proud to be able to do my part. Thank you.
Next, I want to introduce Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez. I don't know what the deal is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So it's because we're friendly, right? She's been out to Clovis so many times since she's been in office. We're just so well acquainted that I can mess her name up and she's going to forgive me. I just know it. But she also gives us her ear and comes out and spends time and puts eyes on projects. She was telling me just a few minutes ago how she has been recharged as she's been back in the state for almost a month, going around and seeing the fruits of her labor, if you will, around the state. And so we're glad that she's taken the time to be here with us this afternoon and share some remarks. Congresswoman?
See, your name is really easy, Mayor Morris. I mean, really. Hello, everybody. Aren't we all excited about this? This is such a wonderful day. And I love these celebrations because when we celebrate, we are celebrating because there's been a lot of hard work. Like, think about everything you celebrate in life. It's always the culmination and the beginning. And so that's what we're doing today, is we are celebrating the hard work of all those amazing people who are identified by the mayor. And I want to give you all a clap, give yourselves a clap again, because you did all of that hard work. And you're going to keep doing all of the hard work to turn this beautiful pictures of what it could be into a reality in the next coming years. And, you know, you know, when I decided I was going to run for this seat, you know, I immediately came out to Clovis, I don't know, like a couple of weeks later. And I like coming out here because my family's actually from the eastern side of the Sangre de Cristos. My grandparents are buried in Tucumcari. My uncle used to live here, my great uncle used to live here, so we used to come out. So it was like, yeah, I'm going to go out there. And they started telling me, like, this is what we need in that water project. And oh my God, the work that Senator Heinrich has done to make sure that that water project gets done, all the work the mayor's done, we've had our boots on, walking along the water project. And that water project is so important because it's what makes everything else possible, right? But an airport is what connects you to the rest of the world without having to get in your car and drive for 3 or 4 hours to get to Albuquerque, right? For the military, the idea that the precious time that your families have to be able to go home and see their families will now be reduced because they'll be able to get in that plane and get to Denver or other places and make those connections. The time that your businesses, your entrepreneurs will have to say, well, we're going to go check them out. And wait a minute, we're going to be able to land on those airstrips and come into a building that is fitting, that this community deserves. That is what we are celebrating today, and I think that that is such a marvelous thing. And I am just so happy that I got to Congress. I haven't been there that long, right? I got there in January 2021, and we began working on the bipartisan infrastructure law. The bipartisan infrastructure law. as Senator said, we had put off investing in our infrastructure for way too long. And there were people, the wonderful thing is there were people there, like the senator and those of us on the House side who were saying, we cannot and we will not forget our rural communities. Because without our rural communities, America does not exist. America does not thrive. Because it's in our rural communities that we have our military bases, that we develop our agriculture, that we have those places that we all love and we need to be connected to everybody else. And so I am really excited that we did get in that bipartisan infrastructure law about $90 million for airports. And we have some more of the money that are coming in, but think about this, about $90 million is coming to New Mexico for our airports from that bipartisan infrastructure law. We're getting 15.7 million of that here here in Clovis. Imagine, we're getting more in Roswell, we're getting some in Santa Fe. That's the difference that it makes when you say we must invest in our rural communities as much as we invest in places like Albuquerque, which needs it too. We all need to fly out of that airport as well. But I am so proud that we are doing that kind of investment in our rural areas. And Senator Heinrich didn't call out something that we think we need to say, is he has the ability, much more than I do, because he gets a lot more projects. I have brought money from some of my community projects, but I only get a few. And but Senator Heinrich brought an extra $3.5 million in his community projects to this, and I want to thank you for that, Senator. And this is an example of what happens when we all work together, as the mayor said. And when we all realize that we are part of the United States of America, we are part of the beautiful, enchanted state of New Mexico, that, that beautiful symbol that we just sort of paid homage to at the beginning, and that we are all connected to each other. And that when we understand and celebrate the fact that we are part of something bigger and are connected to it, that we can do so much. And I am just so happy to be here in that spirit of connection with you all today to celebrate the groundbreaking of this. And thank you to everybody for inviting us to be here. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you for being here and for those remarks, Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez. I got cocky, sorry. Okay, so I wanted to next invite Commissioner Gary Tonjes to share some remarks. And just real quick, this, as you can tell, these big projects have a long life cycle, and frankly, we're just at the groundbreaking. We still have another 18 months, hopefully, and then we'll be doing a ribbon cutting, and so there's a long life cycle, and along the way, there are ups and downs. We think we have funding from this source, and then we find out that maybe we don't, and oh gosh, what's this other program, or who could we talk to, and how can we work on this? And it was in one of those moments that Mr. Howalt and I were looking at things and talking about things, and Mr. Howalt, who has been just incredible, minding the loose ends on this project for 3 years and keeping it moving. Just appreciate Justin so much. But it was in that moment that he said, why don't you reach out to the DOT commissioner? And I said, okay, that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. And so I called someone who I'd never met or never spoken to, and I made a fast friend and met an awesome man who is a great advocate for our state and for his district as a commissioner. And so I would like to introduce Mr. Commissioner Gary Tonjes.
Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here today. When back in the late 1970s, I was a student over at Eastern in Portales. We made a lot of trips over to Clovis. I was on the student activities board, and one of the things we would do, all of the bands coming to town would stay here in Clovis. And so on the activities board, I could get involved. And so I came over, and so we met the Doobie Brothers, and, you know, America, was all these great things. But then we would have an opportunity, we would bring in speakers or other VIPs from around the country, and we as students would have to drive over to Lubbock to pick them up and to bring them to Portales, and the next day turn around and drive them back to Lubbock and then return. And some of those folks, you know, you don't mind spending the extra time with, but had we had this facility in place, you know, we wouldn't have had to be with the difficult ones. I'm sure that my experience is similar to that which many of you have undergone throughout your stay here, your time here. You've had to endure similar things, but the investments that have been made and the growth in air service all since 2021, along with this new terminal and what will be this new FBO facility, really have boosted your trajectory. One person I think about who is probably celebrating today's milestone from above is Chase Gentry. He was a great champion for Clovis and the area, and I'm sure that he knew what this announcement would represent in terms of economic development, support of existing employers and residents, and for those prospective companies and others considering the Clovis and Portales area. I know we work very closely with Ernie, and I've known Ernie since a long time ago, and I know that they were very close and worked together as champions for this community. Within NMDOT, the aviation division was just, I think, an outstanding partner to the City of Clovis and the FAA during the environmental process and design. NMDOT Aviation has invested over $4 million in the new terminal project and has invested more than $11 million in the Clovis Regional Airport. Special thanks go to Dan Moran and Jane Lucero for their outstanding work on this project. They are fabulous, and it was a pleasure for me to be able to get introduced to them through this process as well. I also want to recognize, where is he? Francisco, would you stand? The district engineer So he's the engineer for District 2 for NMDOT, and both Francisco as well as Cabinet Secretary Ricky Cerna were just so excited about this project. Part of their due diligence included them coming down here to meet with the mayor and his team to be able to understand more about the existing facilities and also to see what the new opportunity represented. And so I very much appreciated their efforts in that regard. And they learned quite a bit in their conversations with both the mayor as well as with City Manager Justin Holwalt and Airport Manager Amanda Rungard. Mayor, it was just a pleasure to work with you and your team, and this is a big win for Clovis and for the communities within the region, setting them up nicely to meet future travel demands. On behalf of the NMDOT, congratulations and very best wishes for your continued growth. Thank you.
Now I would like to call on Mr. Mike Bram with the FAA for remarks. Mr. Bram, we're so grateful for your support. Thank you for taking the time to be here today.
Appreciate you being here. Yeah, good windy afternoon, and really, honestly, all the thanks is coming from us. And when I say us, I mean the Louisiana New Mexico Airports District Office, Southwest Region, My name is Mike Branham. I'm the Deputy Manager for the Louisiana-New Mexico ADO, and it's a pleasure to be able to stand before you all today, and honestly an honor to be able to share in the excitement about the new terminal building. The culmination of effort, and I was talking with several folks before we began today, and just learning about all the integral people and organizations that tied into kind of the manifestation of what we're looking at here today with the new terminal building that's going to be not only designed but also developed here in Clovis. Jane shared something with me earlier, and Dan with the state, some talking points, and I pulled out of that aviation history to a large degree started in Clovis back in 1929. So think about that, 1929, almost 100 years ago. There's an airfield that was established here in Clovis, and that's impressive. And that's the type of thing that excites me, is that we're nearly 100 years down the road now, and there's still energy that's being poured into this local airport of yours, growth and competition through an airline service, and incredible leadership at the federal level, the state level, and certainly here with Clovis at the city level and with the airport. So I want to highlight a couple specs real quick that just really kind of are really a high five and a great job to everybody that's been a part of this process. So total project cost is $26 million. $26 million of investment that's coming into this community, and it's really coming from several different sources. So I see here it's over $500,000 from the local community, over $500,000. $4.8 million from the state. And then at the federal level, because of the bipartisan infrastructure law, airport improvement program funding, essentially tying about over $20 million going towards the projects from those sorts of funds as well. So this is truly fantastic to be able to realize with you all and celebrate with you all as well. A quadrupling in the size of the terminal building that's going to be realized in 18 months, which is really incredible as well. So thank you to everybody that's been working hard to build the support for this effort. We look forward to continuing, we as an FAA look forward to continuing working with you at the headquarters level, regional office, and airport district office as well. Thanks again. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you for those remarks, and appreciate the commitment to a continuing partnership with the FAA. Grateful for that. Now I would like to call on Mr. John Coleman with Denver Air Connection to share some remarks. You know, Denver Air Connection, I've used the phrase, and I've heard a few others use it because it's just the fact, but you all have us connected to the world in an amazing way. And so we're grateful for your amazing air service and your full-size snacks.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I want to make you feel better, Mayor Mike. Thank you very much, Congresswoman. Charles Nash is a name that's easy to say until you're supposed to introduce him in front of a crowd like this. And I was the literal deer in the headlights looking at him. Charles Nash, burned in my brain these days. I want to thank you, Mayor Mike, for all you've done here. And you remember that I flew you when you guys were going to were you going to D.C.?
We were on our way to Fort Worth to make the pitch at the regional FAA.
Very well. So it was Amanda and Mayor Mike and Justin, who has the best socks in the business. Of course, we have to thank the Airport Commission. Thank you for taking a chance on Denver Air. When we took over here, there was a 9-seat Pilatus. Actually, I was driving by the sign. You do have to do something about that faded sign with the old sticker gone. You might want to spray a little. How about if we put a jet on that? That sounds good. You guys have done a great job, and the commission, thanks for taking a chance on us. The FAA, of course, for everything that they're doing to keep us safe out here, and the New Mexico DOT. This is a wonderful thing. Our friends at Cannon Air Force Base, great partners there, and thank you for your service. We appreciate all you guys do. Congresswoman, and I'm not going to try either. I've learned my lesson with Charles Nash, and Senator, thanks for all of the hard work on this thing. Real quickly, our local DAC team, the ground staff, are our conduit between the community and our airline. They see much more of the customers and our guests than I do, so I want to thank them very much. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. Please give those guys a round of applause. So I know it's like 2 days from Halloween, but I swear I'm a pilot. In addition to being senior vice president of the company and sharing the leadership role with some great people, our airline is run by pilots. We're not a group of accountants running an airline, with no disrespect for those accountants, because we need those guys to put the money together for these kinds of projects. But what that means is that we are operators, and so I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you, which I'm sure you're aware, seeing our plane in the air day in and day out. Our completion rate in our system is 99.75%, which, as far as I can tell, may be the best in the world, and we're just a hair's breadth behind Delta with on-time performance. So I wanted to say, speaking of Delta, we thank you very much for that. Yeah. Well, we have interlines with Delta, which means that you can connect to Delta. More importantly, I got to thank Clovis, because they pushed us into going to Dallas. When we were first awarded this thing, it was a double Denver. And so the city was very, very adamant about wanting to go to DFW, which pushed me and our company into pushing for an agreement with American Airlines, which came to fruition shortly after that all started in. So now we have American, and of course, at the time we started, we had United. So we're very proud of that. We're very proud of the on-time performance. All of those things, you know, people care a lot about those, but as the mayor said, really all they want is a full-size Snickers, and that's really, that's all they talk about. And I want to thank you, Congresswoman, for your comments, because I wish I'd have written them down. It makes me think of, as pilots and as operators, the question is, why do we fly? And by we, I mean people. So people don't fly for frivolous reasons. They're getting on airplanes for things that matter. They're getting on planes to go say hello for the first time. They're going on planes to say goodbye for the last. And they have business deals. They have family to see. They're going home for vacation. Our Canon friends going home. And when we sell the ticket and we put it up on the internet for sale, it's a promise that we absolutely take seriously to keep. And that's why our record is so high. And so we're very proud of those numbers. I will close with this. I was watching 3 years ago, I think 3.5, we've been here 4? Yeah. So probably 3.5, 4 years ago, I was watching one of our other essential air service communities, and we were watching enplanements, and so they were trying to get to a number, because when you get to certain numbers, there are federal entitlements that come, because the airport becomes recognized as a primary airport, which I won't get into the weeds. You can ask somebody smarter than me about that. But I was watching this other airport, and I thought, well, it was in October, and so I said, well, maybe I'll just take a look at Clovis. And I hadn't even thought about it, because remember, we brought in a 50-seat jet here following a 9-seat Pilatus, which, no disrespect to the great airplane, but now there's a jet showing up every day. And quietly, without any fanfare, in October, Clovis ramped right on up over 10,000 enplanements without us doing a thing except for showing up. So that is a wonderful thing. Give yourselves an applause. I really think this is a natural thing for you guys. I appreciate it very much, because as we know, I go in and talk to the passengers from time to time to say hello and tell them about the flight. And it is cramped in there. So you're due, and thank you for all the work that you guys are doing. Thanks for including me today and us and our team, and we're so proud to be part of Clovis.
Love the partnership with Denver Air Connection. It was in 2022 that we had over 12,700 enplanements, and that was a new high water mark, right? But then all we did in 2023 was do 13,100, right? So love the service, love the trajectory that we're on with our airport and our residents being connected to the world, as we say. Our Civil Aviation Board is an active board making recommendations. So each of these things that we've talked about along the way, the Civil Aviation Board saw first and recommended to the City Commission. And so we're grateful to those that volunteer their time on the Civil Aviation Board. The president of the Civil Aviation Board is my friend, Mr. Lonnie Leslie. Mr. Leslie.
The Civil Aviation Board would like to thank everybody in here today for letting us be part of this. We are blessed to be on the Civil Aviation Board, and we certainly have been blessed to be part of this project. Somebody asked me earlier today, when do you love New Mexico aviation? And one of the reasons is that we have a son that lives in Dallas, and his wife, and 4 little grandkids. And that 7.5-hour drive, because of this airport, because of Denver Air Connection, from the time we take off to the time we drive in our son's driveway, it's an hour and a half. In the car, it's 7.5 hours. So if that doesn't make you love aviation, I'm not for sure what would. We're just blessed by that. We want to thank everyone that's been a part of this, whether it's the state of New Mexico, the Congress, the FAA, everyone that has been a part of it. We were discussing earlier, Mayor Morris and I, that it's going to be so neat when the terminal's finished and somebody gets off an airplane and walks up to that terminal, and that's the first thing in the image that they think of when they come to Clovis, New Mexico. Because what kind of image would be a better thing to have in a person's mind than this beautiful building? We think it's just going to be one of the best things that could have ever happened to the community, and we want to thank everybody that's helped make this possible. Thank you.
All right, folks. We will next move, and I do not possess the instructions on how we're going to do this, but we're going to go outside, and we're going to actually turn dirt, and we look forward to doing so. So thank you for being here to celebrate us breaking our own records and us outdoing our own yesterday. Let's go turn dirt.
Hello, how you doing? Good, how are you? Let's turn some dirt.